Remember what happened to Elliot Spitzer, Anthony Weiner, and Mark Sanford. They all experienced very public falls from grace, and each sought a second chance at holding public office with varying degrees of success. Now, former State Representative Carlos Henriquez is considering a comeback of his own after spending 3.5 months in jail for assaulting a female acquaintance. WGBH News reporter Adam Riley has more.
Former State Rep Carlos Henriquez went to jail after he was convicted of assaulting an ex-girlfriend. Before his colleagues expelled him from the legislature, Henriquez took to the floor and insisted he didn't do it.
My only true solace has been my love of service and the truth of my innocence.
Now Henriquez is home and weighing a political comeback, even though attorney Evandro Carvalho was recently elected to his old House seat. Today in Dorchester's Upham's Corner neighborhood, Henriquez's future didn't spark much interest.
I don't understand what did he go to prison for.
But here in Grove Hall, on the border of the 5th Suffolk District, Henriquez has plenty of supporters, and some of them are passionate about his right to re-enter public life.
As someone who's lived and worked in this community for a long time, people make mistakes and everybody deserves a second chance.
There's punishment, and when you've paid your price, our society says you can come out and act in a legal way, and it seems reasonable to me.
The guy's really innocent, really.
You think he said he's innocent, really?
They're picking on the guy, man.
Sentiments that could be invaluable if Henriquez jumps back into the political fray. Adam Riley, WGBH News.
And Carlos Henriquez is here. Welcome back to Greater Boston,
Thank
Carlos.
you for having me.
So you've been out of jail for about a week. What was
Almost a week, yeah.
experience like?
It's a very unique experience, nothing that I ever expected. It's a lot of time to reflect, to think back on the past, and also think about the future. But you're really stuck living in that present of day to day. 20 hours in a cell with another person, and about 4 hours of time outside of that cell.
Mm-hmm. Were you allowed any kind of activities? I mean, could you read? Could you watch TV?
Definitely a lot of reading. That was probably my #1 activity. And about the 100 days that I spent incarcerated, I probably read about 30 to 33 books. So that was my major pastime. There was some exercise. You get some time in to play some basketball when the weather permitted, physical fitness and things like that, but mainly reading and writing. Was
there any kind of rehabilitation? Do they do anything?
There were some programs. There was an assortment of programs. I was able to take part in a program called Anger Management that looks into emotions and things like that. Mm-hmm. There are different programs. Some of them have different levels of accreditation. I think there can be some improvement in those programs, but they were offered.
Mm-hmm. You had said all along, you said right when the incident happened that you were innocent. You said it to the state legislature. You've said it since you've been out of jail. What is your purpose in saying that?
Well, my purpose in saying that is to tell the truth.
But a jury convicted you. Why do you think a jury convicted you?
Well, the jury's made up of human beings, and we're not perfect. Our judicial system is the best that we have, but by no means do we get it right 100% of the time. I think what they looked at, I think they missed some things that were clearly said and demonstrated throughout the trial, but they reached a verdict, and I've had to live with that verdict.
Do you deny an incident took place at all?
An incident as in a date took place that evening, correct.
Just a date?
It was a date, and the story that was told after that to police, several different stories that were told to the police subsequent to that were all erroneous.
Mm-hmm. Why would somebody make that up?
You know, I can speculate a couple of different reasons. I think to hurt me. I think as a public official, your Achilles heel is always your public reputation. So if you want to hurt somebody in the public eye is to cast a dispersion to them. I think that is what the main thing was. What her motivation behind that was, I'm not sure. And I think only she can answer that.
The jury saw pictures of bruises on her body?
They did. And I saw those pictures as well. I also heard her describe a couple times poignantly what she alleged was the incident. So she said that she was backhanded across the face, which was one of the assault and battery charges. She said that she was held down by her neck and choked, which was the second assault and battery charge. And she said she was punched in the chest, which was the third assault and battery charge. There were no marks. The bruises that you saw, none of them were on her face, throat, or chest. When asked under direct questioning where the rest of the bruises came from, her response was she couldn't recall whether, and these are 12 to 18 bruises, deep blue, different colors. And so she told the jury she couldn't recall where those bruises came from. One of those assault and batteries was acquitted. I was acquitted of. So it was interesting to me that a jury would hear one fact set of 5 different charges that stem from that fact set and find 2 of them to be credible and the other 3 not to be credible.
The judge made it clear that part of your punishment was because you weren't admitting to the crime. It's too late to be cleared. What are you hoping to accomplish by saying? Why not just say it happened and move on?
Well, I don't think anybody in their right mind would admit to doing something that they didn't do, especially a heinous crime like I was accused of. So I can continue to tell the truth. I will continue to tell the truth. I will seek an appeal as well. And that's my obligation to do that. And I don't think the judge, for the judge to say I didn't admit to a crime, I pled not guilty, and we're protected by the Constitution to then stand by that. So just because the jury found me guilty of charges doesn't change what happened or didn't happen that night.
You've said that you're thinking about running for office again. Evandro Oliver, has your seat right now. It's too late for you to get on the ballot. Would you do a write-in? Would you even consider?
I've been asked to do a write-in. I probably would not consider it. Evandro Carvalho holds the seat of the 5th Suffolk District. It's not my seat. I've never felt like it was my seat. It's the seat of the people. So, one of the things I've been clear about with people is public service takes a lot of different shapes and forms, and being in elected office is not the only way to serve your community. I've been doing public service in my community since the age of 15 in various different forms, from a youth worker to a community organizer, and being a leader in the community since I was a teenager. So I will continue to serve my community any way I can.
So you're not necessarily going to try to go for a legislative seat?
Not at this day and time, no. I mean, I'm 37 years old. I think I have a bright future ahead of me, God willing. So I'll look at that again in a year, 2 years, or maybe 5 or 10.
You were expelled from the legislature, which hadn't happened since 1916. Is that for life? I mean, if you were re-elected, you could see some of your Grove Hall constituents seem to think you should be given a second chance. How does that work?
I haven't looked into that, to be honest with you, because I didn't have a stay of execution. As soon as the verdict was done, the sentence was done, I was incarcerated right away, and my time home I've really been spending with family and friends and just kind of relaxing. I will look into it. I don't think the legislature is the only place to serve. Before I was in the legislature, I had run for city council. My comments to the legislature was really just to have them look at the Rule 16A, how it applied, how they felt it applied, and I didn't feel like it applied. So I went through the process of being expelled. Do
you think you were treated differently as an African American than someone else might have been being brought to the State House in handcuffs?
I can't speculate because there's no real basis to form that from. I can tell you that I went voluntarily. So I was asked if I had the right to come and face the ethics committee. I was told ahead of time that if I went, this is how I would be transported, and I said yes, because I wanted to be able to be forthright and speak to my colleagues about what happened and the fact that I didn't believe the 16A fit in this occasion. So I know it was unfortunate. I know people didn't like it. I didn't like it, but it wasn't something that was in my control. My other recourse would have been to stay and let it happen without me being able to speak to my truth.
All right, Carlos Henriquez, thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Good luck to you.